Hello, welcome to yet another episode of Fighting Game Fridays. You know how we do this. I play a fighting game, I talk about it, and you don't watch it. So yeah, today's game, since I'm still on my little Sega Saturn kick here, is going to be Fighting Vipers, also for the Sega Saturn. Kind of, again, following the whole line of Virtua Fighter type fighting games, we get this game. We're kind of like Virtua Fighter, a couple of different, difference between it, though, is the characters have armor capabilities. Each character in the game has armor, usually a top half and a bottom half, which you can break off. And if you break the armor, they take more damage and stuff like that. Every fighting arena in this game is a walled off area, so you can like pin people against walls, you know, beat them down and knock them through, like you saw what happened to me right there. Yeah, not a good start, but that's how it goes. I picked a range mode where the characters, the stages still stay in the same order, but the characters, they're random. Or so I think, I don't know, I only tried to range once so far. So yeah, like I said, the order of the levels still stay the same, but the characters are different, and for some reason we start off with a mirror match. Like I said, once you beat an opponent, you can, if you do like a very strong attack, you can knock him through the wall like you see there. Well, the story of Fighting Vipers is that the characters are all gang members, I think, something like that, or whatever. They're all fighters, whatever. They all do different things in life. Like Raxel here, he's a rock star. He's all into himself. And he fights with a guitar and Kiss-like armor. I suppose they all join the tournament for their own reasons. This guy just to fuel his ego, because he's like, I'm a rock star, I'm an awesome rock star, and I'm gonna kick everybody's ass. And me being like a guy who likes rock music, I decided to go with this character for the playthrough. So there's a bunch of like strife going on in the world in the city of Armstone Town, or Armstone City, whatever you want to call it. And the mayor decides to say, hey, I'm sick of this crap. You know how we're going to solve this? A fighting tournament. Personally, I think every mayor should solve their city's problems like that. It's like, oh, you have a problem? Let's do a fighting tournament, and we'll sell everything there. So all these various people join the tournament, like Jane here, who got kicked out of the military for being too rough. Yes, that's right. Apparently she was too mean or whatever, and she got kicked out. But she joined this tournament to prove that she is, in fact, worthy? Or something. They're all pretty much like teenagers. Like, the characters like range from like, I think the youngest characters like 14, and then like 17 and 18, and stuff like that. Raxel here is 18, and Jane here is also 18. Let me say she tried to join the military. As far as the armor goes, like I said, you do if you can break the armor by doing super attacks. Basically, every character has a couple of different versions of a charged up attack you see there. Say if you hold back and kick, like I've been doing there, he charges up and does a kick. That's usually the moves you use to knock him back or break armor. He has a couple of different ones. There's one where you can knock him straight up, and you can also knock him across the room. And if you're by the cage there, or the end of the cage, you can like skid him across the thing. If you combo him while you're against the cage, you finish off the combo by skidding their face across the thing. You saw it happen there. You can also, when you knock people out, is like you can knock them over. Sometimes you can knock them completely over the fence, which you can only really, as far as I can tell, you can only really do this when you knock them out. Now, it's quite possible that maybe you can knock them over and perform like a ring out that way. I've never seen it done. It kind of showed it happen in the attract mode, but I don't know if you can actually do it in game. But you can also knock them out, and they will like land on their back on top of the cage and pretty much break in half, and you'll hear a nice little cracking noise. Yeah, that's fun. This character is Sandman, apparently. Nobody knows where he's from. He has some obsession with the number 3, and he doesn't talk. That's basically how they describe him in the manual. Maybe I should have read the manual while I'm doing this, even inside of the characters. But yeah, apparently this guy comes out of nowhere, decides to join the tournament. Nobody really knows anything about him. And yeah, so like I said, and all the fighting areas are locations in this Armstone city. Like in the beginning, you saw old Armstone town. This is like, the rest is like more modern places taking place in power plants, and I'm guessing here's someplace in front of a restaurant parking lot. The challenge of this game isn't really all that bad. I mean, it's not hard. Definitely not as hard and cheap as Virtua Fighter. Yet the AI has a tendency to block a lot, and I really should have upped the time limit on this to maybe 45 or 60 seconds, whatever they give you. I didn't. I should have, and God forbid I play through this whole thing again and just do that. But I did the playthrough, and I had a lot of other projects and stuff to do. I got to go to work and do this, that, and the other thing. So I'm just gonna sell this playthrough. So yeah, basically you go through 8 stages in the final boss, much like I said in Virtua Fighter. Not much difference between this and Virtua Fighter and stuff like that. Tokyo, I completely forgot about what's up with this guy. I guess he again just wants to prove himself as a fighter. He's about 16 years old. He doesn't look 16, but he really is. And his stage apparently takes place at an airport inside of a barbed wire cage. In the back of the cartridge, not cartridge, but box, it says something about how like you fight in arenas with barbed wire and electric fences. It really does not affect the game at all. Maybe it was supposed to, and they didn't add it in. I don't know. Maybe if you get hit by a fence, you do take a little more damage when you hit the fence. So I don't know if that's because of the way the fence is, or that's just the physics of the game. I guess it's supposed to sound threatening that you're fighting inside of a barbed wire cage or an electric cage. Some are bars, some electric, some are ropes. And I think the only rope one is Jane's stage, but Jane appeared in her stage to have her on the rage mode. You get a nice little victory thing and stuff like that. So yeah, and this next character is Bon, also known as Genghis Bon III, who came from Tokyo or something to come and join the Armstone tournament to prove himself to the father he's never met. And they don't really expand on the story in these 3D fighting games at all. Sega, with their fighting games, they put a little BS story in there, and they just do not follow up or give any information whatsoever. After all, and even what you read on the internet about it, most likely probably fan-made. Like if you look up the characters' bios on Wikipedia or something like that, people are just guessing. Bon seems to have somewhat of a Dragon Punch move. He is one of those characters that is kind of difficult to master, but once you learn him, it's still pretty good. Kind of works like the Akira of this game. Akira in Virtua Fighter. If you notice the time jump, because I did lose against this guy the first time, so. So you can do combos and stuff like that. It's kind of pointless to do combos when we're playing against people though, because for the most part they just, like I said, the AI seems to have this ability to read what you're doing. They will just fucking stand there and do nothing, but as soon as you make a move, they suddenly know what to do. I swear, when I was younger, as a matter of fact, I still kind of believe this, that the game reads what you do and automatically knows how to counter you. And I'm not talking about this game, I'm talking about fighting games in general. Grace is a fashion model who likes to fight in her spare time and rollerblade, apparently. So yeah, her armor of choice is skater gear, which you can knock off of her. But like I said, I swear that even to this day, fighting games, they read your movement when you make it, and they automatically know how to counter you, and I think that could be paranoid me talking, but I don't know, sometimes I get that feeling. Especially back in the day with these 3D fighting games, it's like, what the fuck, how did you know I was going to do that? Like I said in Virtua Fighter 2, it's like, I go to do a sweep, and they just suddenly, automatically are able to block the sweep position. It's like, they always know what you're planning to do when you go to do it. So you put in the combo you need to do the move you need to do, and all of a sudden, oh, look at this! It knows how to counter you! Ah! No, I don't sound paranoid at all, right? Another feature I forgot to add on is that, like, when you knock off the armor, it does a little repeat thing where it shows like you knock it off. I guess for dramatic effect. And yeah, look at that. I skidded you across the fence. And then I ran out of time and went that way. Yeah. That's how a winner goes, right? Yay. Alright. This right here is my favorite stage in the game. Why? Because look how awesome it is. It's an elevator surrounded by glass, so you can imagine what happens when you knock the person out of the ring. They go flying very far. And luckily, I had the fortune of knocking through the glass both times, making me feel like a complete and total badass. That is pretty much, like I said, the physics of the game. Other than that, if you know, breaking armor plays like Virtua Fighter. You know, same concept. Go through stages. Go through a time limit. Have a time limit. Knock it back and forth. Do combos. Lost by time over. And that, in a nutshell, is Fighting Vipers. So, what else is there to go ahead and... I guess I can talk about what I did during the week, if anybody's actually interested. Yeah, I can actually hear the crickets right now. Like I said, I did the whole Vegas trip with the Reckless Eating Crew. I lost money. At least close to $300 worth. And I won some of that back in the Ghostbusters, right through the glass. Take that. Get the hell out of here, you picky little bastard. Picky, the skater, 14 years old, youngest of the Fighting Vipers crew, and all that jazz. So yeah, I lost crap loads of money. Ate some food, had some drinks, you know, had a decent amount of fun. For the most part, we all broke up into different groups here and there. We all went out to dinner at some steak place. Right through the glass again. And then I like this part right here through the... Watch this after the replay. When you're doing a thing, like watch. Victor pose, watch, wait for it. Boom! Right there. You can actually hear the guy you actually hear the guy hit the ground. That was so badass. Next character up is Candy, who is a fashion designer. Yes, and she is trying to design a series of rubber dresses that people will like. Hey, this was 1996. What do you expect? Actually, it might have been 95 when this game came out. I don't know. It came out a few years after Virtua Fighter 2. It had a bit smoother animation. Choppy every once in a while, though. You see like little breaks in the animation, screen tearing, whatever you want to call it. But hey, back in the day when we had this, it was some badass shit, and we were like, when we saw stuff like this, we were like, awesome, 3D fighting, it's so great. And it's these games that spawn some of the 3D fighters we have today, like Soul Calibur and Tekken, and various other ones that did not really, did I get double perfect? That really don't, not a lot of games managed to pull off the 3D fighting realm as much as these could back in the day. And now we are at the final boss of the game, BM. Yeah, I don't know either. In the manual, he's known as Mauler, and he has nobody knows who he is or what he is. He's obsessed with snakes, obviously. He embodies the Fighting Viper spirit, as you can tell just by looking at him. Just look at his badass armor. You know, he fights like a cheap bastard. You knowing everything. This is what I'm talking about right here. This guy seemed to know how to counter me every time. You are an asshole and I hate you. It took me a few tries to beat this guy, and eventually I just figured out, hey, if I keep spamming the kick button, I take him out. So he's not really officially registered in the tournament. Nobody knows why he's here, and he just hates the mayor of Armstrong City for some reason. Maybe it's his son. He's rebelling. Oh, damn you, daddy, I'm gonna rebel against you by beating the crap out of everybody in your tournament. Or at least the person that makes it to me, and I guess you fight on top of a tall building. Now, it's cool in the rope stages, like if you bounce them, I didn't get to do it here, unfortunately. If you do the move where you break through the wall, instead of breaking through, he bounces off. The character will bounce off, go flying over on the other side. And unfortunately, that just didn't happen during this playthrough, as you're going to see here. I'm trying desperately to take this guy out, and he's being a cheap-ass son of a bitch. He's on range. Oh, maybe I messed up. And then this happens. He does this, I don't hit the wall, and then he just does that, and time is over, and hey, look, I win! And that's how he beat the game by timeout. Oh, isn't that so exciting? So, like I said, that was Fighting Vipers. Now here's the credits. And yeah, that was it. Fighting Vipers for the Sega Saturn. I picked this one up recently. I always wanted it when I was younger, but you know, I was dirt poor and I can only afford so many games. And by the time... And it was very hard to get some of these games, because at the time I got the Sega Saturn, it was kind of dying out. It wasn't where it was when it first started. I always thought it was a good system. Very underrated system. The only problem is Sega's marketing for it just completely blew. They messed up. And this is pretty much what started the downfall of Sega. Not the hardware, because it was good hardware. It was the fact that their marketing for it was just absolute crap. And besides, eventually, you know, once Sony and the PlayStation got a hold of the Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy franchise, that was pretty much it. Now, obviously, it was never going to go to Sega at all, so it's not like you were ever going to see Final Fantasy on the Sega Saturn or any type of platform. That wasn't the point. Nintendo lost it because Square wanted to do something, and Nintendo was still sticking with cartridges, so that's how it lost there. So once Final Fantasy went to PlayStation, everybody else started going too, and a lot of developers just started leaving Sega to go to Sony and the PlayStation. A lot of games still did come out for the system. They just didn't really make it here. They came out in Japan, and eventually most of those games were just ported to... Or pretty much just ported to the PlayStation eventually. Like games like Lunar, the Lunar remake, which was awesome, by the way. It is my favorite game of all time. Made it to PlayStation and stuff like that. Grandia eventually made it to PlayStation. And of course you got your obligatory putting your initials in at the end of the game. So yeah, again, that was it. Fighting Vipers 2. So yeah. Pretty much all I gotta say about that. As you can see, I tried playing this earlier with Grace just to get a feel for the game. And there you go. Oh, one other side note I didn't add. I didn't think of it at the time because the fight was so short. In the American version, Candy... I mean, her original name is Honey in Japan, but for some reason they changed the Candy when it came here to America. I have no idea why. I mean, I read it somewhere. They had some reason, or some BS reason I'm going to call it. I don't remember. It's not important. But yeah, so basically, like I was saying, that's pretty much what happened with the Sega Saturn. It was a good system. It had a lot of potential, but Sega just botched it hardcore. And by the time the Dreamcast came out, nobody trusted them. People's faith and trust in Sega was lost, and it turns out you could pirate the games really easy on there, so that didn't help it either. And that's why you see Sega in the mess that it's in today. And as you can tell by recent reports, it hasn't got any better. But anyway, I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.